Hey there! If you watched my last video, I was talking about CPTSD, meaning complex trauma from early childhood, and that combined with addiction, as it can happen because of the early childhood trauma, that addiction becomes this way of being able to momentarily not be in pain, and that can be highly addictive because who wants to be in pain, right? Um, Now, after I did that video, I just wanted to let you know that it relieved something, that there was like a pocket of darkness in me, that it only happens after I've talked about it and made a video about it or talked with a friend about it, that there seems to be this release, that I don't have to be secretive about something, and suddenly like more information will come to me. It's like an inner part of myself kind of coming online, and a part of me that I didn't know before. And one of the things that happened was that I had a call with a dear friend of mine, and suddenly we had new ground to meet, because she was also going through a lot of trauma, or is just getting used to the idea that there has been a lot of things that have happened in her past, and that they're influencing her day-to-day life now, as she is in the situation that she has to deal with it now. Like, so there's things in her life that are pushing the trauma that had happened in her early childhood, and she had been trying to resist it and trying to be like a good person and work hard, which is really great. And I can't believe how long she actually held out. But the life that she was living was not giving space for her traumas to be healed. So I don't know if everyone is gonna, like, if everyone's always gonna have to heal all of their traumas. I have no idea. But um, like, I think it's also a personality, that some personalities just don't feel bothered by certain things and will feel bothered by other kinds of things. And other personalities, like I myself, am very emotionally sensitive, and like my senses are very sensitive. So I will have different pain points than someone with a different character that would have gone through the same experiences as me. This is something that I learned just in the last like 5 years. Um, when I was in therapy, in like official therapy, like talk therapy, it the way that therapists often came at problems was like a one fits all. So there was some sense of like, oh, Joan, this person that I'm seeing in front of me, is actually way more sensitive than most people. Um, but it was still the same theory, like all the ways in which I would feel my boundaries being crossed, that is the same for everyone. But actually, it's not. I have found that it's not. There might be some things that most people have the same, but I think that part of that also goes to cultural conditioning. Um, and that there are deeper layers that not everyone has to get to, but I just find them really important, and have been supportive in to help me understand what's going on and what's not going on. So in that, I have found that different personalities react in different ways, and that's okay. So I think it's really, really great to, at some point in the healing journey, find out that you are very unique, and that you have different things driving your personality, and that to be able to fill out the different parts of your personality, that brings you into balance, that makes you feel much more whole and rounded out. As opposed to maybe an idea of balancing where you just go, okay, these are the extremes and I'm gonna sit in the middle. But when you do that, you're actually suppressing either one of the extremes or both. And that is still you being under pressure, and that parts of the personality will have to like act out, or like kind of explode because, or act out because there is no solution, there is no space for this part of the personality. So oh gosh, um yeah, it was really wonderful for me to talk to my friend, and suddenly we started getting to a lot of humor, and that is a lot of the energy that got released from just outing myself, being open about the difficulties that I'm having, and the whole contemplation that I'm having around addiction. I can feel like I'm even more relaxed about it now, and I can start to see also, like, in some ways, how the use of marijuana, that's what I talked about in the last video, has um, has also given me new insights, like actually helped me in some ways. And I could only get to that space because it's like kind of like a door opening, like a permission being there, like you are now allowed to explore how this is actually helping you. Because before I didn't feel that permission, because it was like, nope, you don't make any positive assumptions about what this is doing for you, because my internal dialogue was, because that might be an attempt at like being okay with using a drug, and it might be like I might be unconsciously sidestepping health, unconsciously choosing for something not because it's real, but because I'm trying to make it feel better, and like it's like another layer of lies to myself. So yeah, I'm always trying to not lie to myself, and to be very careful of thinking about things being positive in a situation that my mind and my feelings are really telling me this might be really a negative thing. But then, yeah, things can be complex, but I didn't want to make it more complex for myself until I could actually handle it. And I feel like that's happening now. Yay. um, yeah, yesterday I was actually a blue person. I had covered myself in body paint. I was totally blue. It was a lot of fun. But I'm still like having little bits of traces of the blue, like in my hair and around my eyes. So you probably can't see it, but I'm a little bit self-conscious about it. It's just okay. I get to be self-conscious. Okay. Now, the kind of humor that we had. Okay, so someone had sent me messages, and they felt for me very pushy, and I kind of expected that from this person, but it's, man, I didn't realize how like it made me feel very anxious, very angry, and I had to refrain from sending a message back because I felt like I was gonna really push very hard, and I just wanted to be very conscious about how I was doing this communication. Also, it was on a topic that I have found triggers me a lot, and that I have to like work with, and hold myself to do it as best as I can with what I have now, and that's finances. Like, it comes for me into a place of, am I gonna survive? Is this gonna be forever? It's been so tough up till now, and like the confrontation in this conversation that I'm having with this person on an app is really triggering feelings of like, I'm never gonna be able to get this right. And like in messaging, of course, it's like, it's short term, it's like you don't wait a week or a month before you reply. At least I don't. I want it to be like done within a few days at most. And so I was having to react to this person. But yeah, I was feeling really, really triggered. Now, why do I want to say something? Oh, yes, I was like, oh shit, I had this mantra for this, I have a mantra for this year, like, grow some balls, grow a set. And so I was like, if any challenges come up regarding my boundaries, I'm gonna rise to the occasion, or at least do my best. This is my year for doing that. Now, I was like, hey, where did I leave my teeth? I gotta show this person some teeth. But where are they? So, yeah, with my friend on the phone, the one that I am really close to, and that we could talk about like the drama of having CPTSD, is like when you can get the humor, you can even like, because when you're really critical about yourself and judgmental, then it is really hard to kind of adjust the way that you're being. What I mean is, well, I'm not gonna tell you what I mean. If you could like go the other way and be like, okay, so I have a very harsh, judgmental side to me. And instead of trying to shush it and trying to make it nicer, to be nicer to me, I'm gonna instead just tell it like, give me your worst. Give me your worst, but let's laugh about it. Like, tell me something that you would like not dare to even say to me. And it's like this monster that you've put on a leash, like an elastic leash, and it's like taking all of your energy to get this part, this judgmental part of you, this monster, to be like a little bit nicer. But then you might have to go like the other way and to tell this monster like, I see that you're really good at putting people down. I see that you're really good at being mean and like all up there, like and like telling it like, give me your worst. I want to know how bad you can get, and like and tell yourself like, I'm gonna have so much fun with this. And it was like, yeah, my friend and I were like talking about the situation where, oh my gosh, everybody who has a pleasing personality or has that as a coping strategy will recognize this. Like, there is this moment where you get conscious that you shouldn't be pleasing in a situation. And it is very hard. I mean, clap, clap, clap for you if you manage to turn on the light inside your mind to watch yourself being a pleasing personality. But then what happens? Like, you want to say, like, someone's telling you, yeah, I would like you to come into work more often. And, like, can you do that? Can you, like, come tomorrow? Where inside you're like, I am not well. I stopped working for a reason. I do not want to come in tomorrow. And if you're like letting your monster on the leash saying, hey, how about I give you some space and you give it your worst. I want to hear it. I want to hear the passion of it. And this monster that's like, I want to bite your fucking head off. I don't want to come into work tomorrow. I don't want to come into work ever. I don't want to ever see your hell fucking face again. I just want to smush it. I just want to, and like just go at it. And like, I was talking to my friend about like, and we were laughing and we were saying like, like the difference between how you wanna speak, consciously, and realizing that that takes energy. And sometimes you've practiced that so much that it's become like a dead horse. And you're like, there's no energy there anymore. So you can switch and go, all right, monster, there you go. Serve it, serve it hot, serve it like you want. Let it, and you don't, and that's like your reactive side. That's the part of you where the emotions become real, where they go like hard. It's like your fire. Maybe it turns into something else, and you just become a wobbly pool of crying mess, But at least in that's this other way of you know, being real with yourself in that, like, what are the emotions, what are the reactive emotions, because there you can see the reality of your pain body, you know, the part of you that is being very real about how things hurt. And it's easier to hear when you hear the um, just the force of the energy. You know, it is energy, it's emotion is energy in motion. So it's really, really healthy to also get it out. Like, choose the situation, of course. Maybe have good friends, maybe have a camera, maybe have, you know, just to be able to record it for yourself. So you're intentionally doing that. And of course, if you're the kind of person that just does that unintentionally, blah, blah, and without knowing that you really need to be conscious about those things, because that is, you know, if you express that in the wrong space, you could hurt people and you could lose connections. It might be totally disrespectful in most situations. You might need to warn someone beforehand and know, and that they trust you, that you're not gonna like literally throw that kind of energy on them, because that is destructive. It's destructive for another person. But if you can take ownership of it, like really the other person will feel it if you're taking ownership of it or not. Like, you can't fake that kind of thing, otherwise it could even be very manipulative. You might be like doing that in order to make something happen with the other person. Like, yeah, you really want to stay far away from that, and I'm going to say something more, I hope, if I remember, about that in a minute. So yeah, but it's just really important to also be able to let that energy flow, so that it's not like rotting inside of you, which I mean all of us do to a certain extent, because we might not have the wisdom to do this, or the experience in order to do it well, you know, all kinds of reasons. Now, at the end of this, let's see, am I at the end? I don't know. So when you're being very reactive, for a lot of us, when we have had this complex trauma happen to us, it might mean that we, more often than we would like to admit, or than we would even like, we are finding ourselves in situations where we feel very triggered, and even to the point of feeling triggered like, I'm dying here, or this thing triggers me so much that I feel super powerless, and I've been feeling this way so many times, and it means to me that life's not gonna happen for me. And it's like pushing you to a place where like your whole psyche is saying, I need to break out of this cannot be real, I can't handle this. So that sense of I can't handle this, like, it brings you to that reactive mode, like I have to fight, or I have to run, or I have to like disappear or something. And the difficult thing about that, and I have talked about this before, but I think it's such an important piece. You need to be in a situation where the other person is also trusting you to have a degree of self-control. In relationships, like, yeah, I want to say my previous relationship. No, I want to keep it out of that actually. But the thing is, in that moment that you're being reactive and feeling like I need to fight this, I need to get out of this, it can feel like this person has to help me, because you aren't actually able to grow socially or relationally unless you have someone that you can work with, you know, that is accepting you and and you're going hand in hand, like not literally, but of course metaphorically, like you're willing to go hand in hand and like learn all of the um, like it, learn to come into emotional maturity and become emotionally intelligent. And that is something that you have to experience. It's not something that you can theorize. It's something that you have to do, and through the experience of it, you start to grow this emotional muscle that will um, that will grow every time that you have good experiences, and will just help you and understand and see life in a very, very different way. Things become much more clear. Like you understand people's agendas much clearer. You understand when someone's trying to please you and what they're trying to get out of it. You start to understand that um, how you can remove yourself from manipulative situations, because you'll sense them much earlier. Um, yeah, you start to wish upon other people that they will keep their own boundaries and not like try to please you so much, because and it'll just feel very sticky when people try to please you. Let alone if someone's doing it for like bad intentions in order to get something from you that you actually don't want to give them. A lot of people please out of fear, and we can have a lot of compassion for that. Um, yeah, but it still feels very sticky and inauthentic. And I am guilty of doing that in so many situations. So yeah, we're complex beings. um, I wanted to tell you about this. Yeah. The thing is, I was thinking of like someone. So this recently actually happened to me. I was reading someone's astrology chart, and they had just come out of a relationship. Something had gone wrong, and they were feeling really badly about it. But they were very much blaming the other person. Now I have blamed, like pretty much all of my relationships that I've been in. Yeah, I have been that character. So. And I think it's super rampant among women, honestly. Like men and women will do it different ways in like generally, and of course it's just in general. So it might not be your story. But yeah, this guy, I was giving him an astrological reading, and he was like, that woman had done everything wrong, and she lied to me, and like as I was like pulling the whole thing apart, it was like, wait, but this guy has the chart of someone who is super reactive, who only sees his own like way. And I started asking him about this relationship, and like it turned out that the girl that he was dating was in fact someone who was pleasing him. And like I could predict what happened to a certain extent. And I was like, right. And he was blaming her for not being authentic. And I started to try to explain to him, like, she might not have the capacity, she might not have ever been in the situation where she could be safe. And like asking him, like, how did you react whenever this or that happened, whenever she would tell you, like, I'm not feeling safe, or I'm not, and he would say, yeah, I would just get angry with her. It's like, yeah, so she then got the confirmation that I can't trust you when I try to be vulnerable. And I just want to express, like, we can feel like we're the ones who should have been treated better, but we might not realize that with complex trauma that we might have been in the situation where we're maybe like throwing a tantrum or like expressing like our disappointments and all of those things, and it might trigger the other person, and they might not have had the emotional bandwidth to receive you. In fact, it might in that situation have been you traumatizing them, maybe even like a lot of the times this is what happens, that's just the way that it happens. Like it might have for them even been a re-traumatization, a situation from their childhood repeating itself, where you are now the perpetrator, instead of like maybe their parents or a caretaker. And so it doesn't mean that you have to like hold space for everyone or in your relationship at every moment. No, we're human, but it is like you do need to train yourself to be more aware. Like everything changes, like literally everything changes with your awareness. So like sometimes like walking into the darkness is like walking into the unknown. Like it's Scorpio season, right? So walking into the unknown is like, there's this saying that I really love. Walking into the darkness with consciousness is how you create. Walking into the dark without consciousness is how you cause destruction. So there is nothing wrong with your feelings. Having a way to express them is the first step to realizing what's actually going on, because expressing and you watching it happen and practicing watching, observing yourself expressing gives you a lot of information. Like there's the front of the expression, and then you'll see it's like a comet, it has like a tail, because you'll see when you have expressed that, what's happening to your body, how do you now feel. And then in the aftermath of expression, you will find out other really important truths about yourself. And I can't predict what's that gonna be for you. But yeah, give yourself the grace that expressing emotion is natural, and our maturity is growing as we become more conscious of what is happening to us with that expression. And, you know, with that being more aware of your emotions, you're actually able to make different choices. And that's going to be for you to find out what kind of choices you now want to make, being aware of actually what is the truth of you. Now this would lead to you expressing differently to different people, but even being aware of the difference between situations and between people, this is actually something that grows when you start being aware. It's very difficult to gauge other people or situations when you don't have any of this emotional musculature grown. It is, maybe as a metaphor, I could say it's like you're not only growing your emotional musculature, but you're growing the muscles of your ears, of your eyes, so that they can catch nuances instead of it being black or white. It's good or it's not good. Oh my gosh, and seriously, love relationships, you will start to notice that the reality is people are not one or the other. You know, our incredible opportunity to build a life that feels fulfilling, that feels really joyful and passionate and energizing and fun and warm and safe, relies on us seeing more than the polarity of good, not good, black and white, but to start realizing all of the nuances in between and start recognizing color. I say color because it just makes me much more happy, but I do feel like even the expression of life is actually about color, is about the enjoyment of you know, all the different forms that we can take is actually about like not getting it right. You know, are you sinful or are you not sinful? Have you been a good person or have you done it wrong? um I don't think so. Now I'm going to talk about God, but God could be anything that you see it as. I see it as like all of life is God. um and just feel like God is living through all of us, through our experiences. Like the point of life is to experience, is not to transcend everything and go somewhere else. Like, no, it's this life is the playground, and it's our job. Like, you can take the job or not, but it's like our task, I feel, is to tune the game so we can enjoy it. And yeah, I have to admit, I don't always enjoy my life. Like, that's just not, I don't always enjoy my life. um, but I am trying to fine tune it so I can enjoy it more. Let's say, so for me, it's always been, you know, if this is like after 40, I was like, okay, it did get easier, but it didn't get livable. I still don't find my life livable. It's like it's much more pain than I think is necessary or should be allowed. Like, who am I to say? Uh, but I need to make it more livable. And if it's gonna be painful anyway, then I'm gonna choose which pain is okay. And for me, that has been like, I wanna help other people. I wanna help nature, because I think that's why I'm here, to remind people of what nature is and what our nature is, and that everything kind of fits together in this incredible kaleidoscope of like interconnectedness, and that there is natural law, and that we can eliminate things that make us really, really suffer. But also at the same time, we've been given a whole lot of things to work through that will actually create very unique stories, very unique skills, um, unique expressions of God. And I really do feel like we are divine within. It's not necessarily the humanness of us, but like being this vulnerable, I think is part, like, yeah, is part of our salvation. Like, being incomplete is part of the story. um, it makes us want things. It makes us move through life, and we get to keep learning and keep wanting to improve things. Um, yeah. Now, I want to come back to the astrology, because I was thinking about, like, I have been critical of the men that I've been in relationships with, um, and the guy that I was giving a reading had actually some similar aspects as some of the people that I've dated, and I have learned a little bit about the different signs, and just when I start talking about this, then remember, this does not mean that this is you, or if you are a Leo, then I'm talking about you, because it's more that I'm saying that these energies might be something that's influencing you, and it depends on many different things. Like, um, it depends on the aspects to other planets. It depends on where in the chart, in the round zodiac it is. Uh, it depends if the planet is in a happy place or in a very detrimental space, whether it's being helped by other things or not. So please don't feel like I'm defining you. Just, this is meant for you to feel like, oh, this might be, you know, something that's pushing me in a certain direction, and it's coming from this certain influence, like the sun in Leo, making you a Leo. Like nowadays we talk about, if someone asks you what's your star sign, then you tell them where the sun was in at the moment that you were born. In other ages they may have said like where their moon was, or like where their ascendant is. So sun sign astrology, that's that's since the 30s been the most popular forms of astrology in our age. And so now I'm going to talk about the influences. So I have noticed that people react differently when they get into that stress moment. And you can go and look at your charts and see what it is for you. And if you want, you can comment under this video, and I will reply to you if I know something about that placement. And yeah, you would tell me which planet of yours is there, and then in what sign it is. So for example, your sun is, like my sun is in Capricorn, and I would write, gosh, what does it mean if my sun is in Capricorn? Like, this is my experience when I get, yeah, just tell me what, like, how do you tend to react when you are being like pushed to your limits, when you feel really triggered? Okay, so I have noticed that I have an ascendant in Cancer, so I'll start with me. I have an ascendant in Cancer, and I noticed that people who have a lot of water in their charts, so whether it's their sun in a water sign, so that's Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio to a lesser extent, but Pisces and Cancers definitely, that they tend to, when they get triggered, they tend to pull back. It's like totally not their scene, or if they do get pushed further, it's crying. And like if it's Libra, it will be like trying to even avoid the whole situation and like, just let's not. Libras can be very diplomatic, and to a fault. Like I used to dissociate so badly, and I think that has to do with I have a lot of planets, especially Pluto in Libra, and also Mars. And Mars is like your body, like how your body is reacting. And for me, in like when I get into a conflict, I usually didn't feel my body, but then I'll notice like my body is just out. It's like, yeah, of course I'm physically still there, but I don't feel myself anymore. And I'm like roaming around in my head, trying to figure out what's the best thing to do. Yeah. So one that I have also seen is that the fire signs, oh gosh, apart from Sagittarius, like Leo placements, like planets in Leo will often not be able to see other perspectives. It's because it's one of the solid signs, so Leo and Taurus has that a lot, and Aquarius as well. When a person with those placements gets into conflict, it might be very difficult for them to even see anyone else's perspective. An Aquarius would be more like, if you would explain things to them in a logical way, they might be willing to see your point of view, but like Aquariuses very often will just believe in their own point of view, and they will seem very open to discuss things like on a very mental level, and then but they'll be like totally pig-headed about it, like, no, I'm not accepting this, this reality. But then once they think like, wait, no, I do agree with it. And then they're like totally for it. It's like they can be they can really switch very fast like that, and other people can like get a whiplash from how fast, you know, an Aquarius will just change their minds and the whole paradigm's shifted, and like it doesn't mean like that much to them. Um, they can be very detached from that being a big deal. They might not be very emotional about it at all. On the other hand, a Leo, I have found that a lot of the Leo energy can be in the conflict, kind of like they're very people, some like I wasn't aware that my ex-partner or yeah, that he's actually the kind of person, he is a Leo, he has a sun in Leo, Jupiter in Leo, like a lot of Leo. And Leos can have such an incredible amount of generosity, of wanting to like, yeah, just be there for others, to show up, to hold space for others. Now he was my ex-partner, he was a Leo with a Cancer ascendant, so it was more of that motherly empathy and holding and giving space. But the Leo can be very much like in their own energy, and like it's very hard to budge them out of that, and they might just feel really like, why are you trying to change my mind, change who I am, be so difficult? Like it's very hard sometimes for them to see the other person, and they might just kind of live in their own bubble, and the confrontation might make them just close themselves off. I think a lot of male Leos can feel like they're supposed to be like this the one holding the anchor in a situation, and then when you confront them like they're not, it's like they can be confused and be like, yeah, I am, you know, I am the one holding the anchor in this situation, I am the one being helpful, and they might be really doing their best, but it's just like they're retreating into that incredible light of theirs and not realizing that that's not what's being asked of them, and it could be difficult for them to like pivot. So yeah, all of and with Taurus it can be more like if things aren't very simple in the situation, if you like talk a lot and with a lot of different details and a lot of different ideas, and then it could just get really confusing for them. Like the Taurus energy is like, keep it simple, man. Just keep it simple, chill out. Like don't disturb a Taurus's peace. So Taurus can be very, very like obstinate, like stubborn, like whatever change you're trying to make happen, it's just not coming in. They can like be there and like stop. Like, I'm just not gonna listen. I'm not gonna be there. I'm not agreeing to anything. Just, you know. So yeah, that's Taurus. And I'm saying these things in order for anyone to recognize these energies, that could be part of your pattern. And I'm gonna try and also talk about what remedies could be for each of these signs. So let's see, an Aries is a cardinal fire sign, and Aries planets in conflict can be like really angry, like bam, like very sudden anger, like temper, but a lot of the times with the Aries energy itself, when the like fights, like the energy's gone, then after that it's just like, it might be like, yeah, it's gone, I'm over it. They tend to not really hold a grudge, they just want to keep moving, they just want to be in their energy, be in their action. Yeah, I have dated someone who had a lot of Taurus and a lot of Aries, and I would see him like get angry, but then it would like also after he had expressed his anger, it was fine. He didn't, it just didn't linger. And with Cancerians, for example, ooh, and with Scorpio, like the other person may not realize that there's still a well of anger, even if something's been expressed. Maybe for Scorpio, it would be even like being very, very careful about when they express anything. But, and what their real feelings are about things might be quite hidden. Yeah, and let me go on with the Scorpio energy. So I have not been super close with Scorpios, so it's more kind of my hearsay, so I might be wrong about this. But the way I've understood Scorpios is that they have such a capacity for intimacy, like to the point of um, dissolving, and like there's this deep need or want and desire. Desire is a very strong Scorpio word, to come into this deepness, into depth. Depth is also a Scorpio word. And so when they feel hurt, it could be like they have so much power inside and so much to give. They usually don't give it to a lot of people, but like if they have chosen one person and then they find themselves in a conflict that they're feeling super triggered, it can be like beyond for them. It might be very difficult for them to rationalize, to pull back and observe, because it could be hitting their emotional body very, very strongly. Another word for Scorpio is that the depth is how we come to actual transformation. So the Scorpio energy is really good at tracking things and keeping an eye on something, because there's this distrust, because there's such a deep well of emotional energy, of yeah, vulnerability also, like to transform real deep, like the roots of a situation, of a relationship, of even the body, to transform that, that is like a dissolving that is so deep that it does need to be protected and given only to the right people. But in the Scorpio personality, that might create in them like ways of building walls, and very tight ones, like airtight. Like, and it could even be that they might want someone to be like, it could be used to keep someone out, but it could also be like to keep someone in, because now you're with me and you don't get to go anywhere, and it could be very suffocating, like airtight. And with all of these personalities, I would say it's kind of futile to try and suppress your personality, but you want to instead be aware of the weaknesses, the strengths, and what you could use in your personality to balance these things out, and to get the right kind of support in order to help you move through emotions or traumas that have happened specific to that. So for like the Scorpio energy, it might be like, it was from this podcast that I was listening to today. It's an astrologer that I really love. Her name is Jessica Lanyado, and her podcast is called Ghosts of a Podcast. Very wonderful. Go watch it if you want. So she was talking about the Scorpio energy, and that depending on what planets are there, there can be like obsession, there can be just burrowing deeply into the need to have a person, to be with a person, to keep them close, and to be even possessive, to have even power over them. And like I was saying, consciousness about things changes everything, but sometimes you want to actually be in the reality of your personality, if it is like this, that maybe you are just obsessive, maybe you are just possessive of people, and to find the right kind of person that is either okay with that or loves that. And you might now be watching and be like, damn, no one loves that. And I would say, like, think about a person who has felt super unsafe, and like no one has ever taken ownership of them in the sense, in the healthy way, like has that just like being on the lookout for anything that's happening in their environment to keep danger away, to and like being able in a relationship to give the task of protection to another person. So that was something that in my ex relationship worked really well. People don't really talk about this, but it's really good to be aware that we're just not all the same. And um, things that might seem not great for one person might be extremely great for another person. So my ex-partner, he was just not really afraid of a lot of things. He was very surprised about the amount of things that I would worry about and was afraid of. And we lived in the forests for years. And when we moved there, I said to him, like, you know, I feel kind of afraid. Just, it's not for something specific, but just living out in the forest, and what if some stranger comes to the door and I don't want to open the door or meet them after dark? And I said to him, like, you're going to be in charge of keeping the house safe, and if some, you know, if people are wandering around or we hear some noises in the night, it's going to be your task to go figure it out and make me feel safe. And make me feel safe is that it's his job. And he was like, yeah, of course. Oh my God, that makes you feel good? Yes, I'm going to do that. Thank you. And I got to say at this point that for a lot of us women, we may not realize that the masculine energy, when from a true place, from a heartful place, when you can give a male like a role in your life, for example, my ex-partner, protection, that you really do need, or that adds to the quality of your life. I mean, of course, you have to check, you know, if that man actually does make him really happy. But a lot of us women don't realize that for a male to feel like they're adding something to your life, that it's their task to make sure of a certain thing, especially like containment, making you feel safe, things like that. And you know, please, all the males and all the people with a lot of masculine energy, you can say what, you know, what specific one works for you. But if you don't feel like that's true, then, you know, drop in inside and feel like, what would it feel like for someone to genuinely need you? So I have found that a lot of people talk about this, but I have really found it to be true, that a male who feels like, who has chosen you, feels also like they want to have like a reason for being around you, like beyond you liking them, like to feel like you couldn't do without them, because, you know, so, and that's maybe one of the reasons why it's hard for males to be okay with other males being around, because they don't want another male to take over their role. It's like, so, and this is where I think, where I have been mistaken in my relationships, in not realizing how deeply a man feels like attached to me in a very positive way, when they can fulfill this role, whatever role that is. But like, it's agreed upon, and I'm showing my gratitude for that, you know. So uh, by me having been so critical, and like actually needing something from my ex-partner that he had never been trained in, which was like emotional intelligence, and take like holding space for a person that has complex PTSD. And like he hadn't really like gone to his emotions. That was just not his. He didn't choose that. He didn't want to choose that. So, and I realized this, and then it was like really weird for him to hear from me that I needed things from him that he wasn't providing. And that's the thing that I think us women really, really, it really helps us to see the men in our lives, that it just adds to the quality of their life. It makes them feel like a man. It makes them feel helpful, useful, like they have a place in your little ecosystem, in your little society. They need to feel like they are like they are an intrinsic part of your life, and that that they can, in actionable things, provide you with with whatever it is that you're wanting or needing. And that's where, you know, you want to look at compatibility, because then if they feel like for example, for me, I really love it when a guy can make me feel super safe by not biting anyone's head off. Like, I don't like that reactive side of it, but really showing up for me, like being close to me and not letting energies that feel weird come close to me without me saying, yeah, it's okay. And then, yeah, like even the emotional reaction of being like, I don't, if someone has crossed my boundaries and made me feel bad, for to have like a male who's like, I don't like what that person did to you. I feel like that was disrespectful and I don't like it. It just makes me feel like I got a pack at my back, you know? Someone's got my back, and they're not like being upset at me, which can make it me feel like I'm in danger in my own pack, but that they're wanting to slow down anything that's coming my way, when I tell them, like, I don't know how to deal with this, and that they'll be like, I'll be there for you as long as you need me, and as soon as you're like, I can handle this, I am gonna step aside and like applause for you. And even if you're only trying and you don't even have to like succeed, just having the energy to try and, you know, grow some balls. But yeah, that's almost like the role of a parent. So, which is one of the reasons why I'm not trying to have a relationship right now, because I don't necessarily want to find someone who can be a parent for me. You know, even if eventually I might still want some of these characteristics. Yeah. So I have been talking about Scorpio. I'm getting a little tired of hearing myself talk, and I wouldn't be surprised if you are too. But yeah, the Scorpio energy of just being able to track things so well, and like, if they can use that to help others to see things, because a Scorpio sees things. Like, you can't put anything past a Scorpio, past the Scorpio energy. Like, they can see in the dark. You know, that's the meaning of that energy. And they will attack, you know. If they see that they need to, then it's like there's the killer instinct. And I'm not saying that a person will do that, like, I'm just saying that they understand that energy. They understand the energy of life or death. They understand how deep suffering can go. So it makes them also like the one who would understand, or who would be able to have compassion for really how bad life can get. Scorpios can be just very real, and they you know, the sign that comes before Scorpio is Libra, where Libra is really diplomatic to the extent that it can be fake. A Scorpio will not do that. You know, after Libra, that energy totally changed, and it's like, now we need reality, and Scorpio's like, and I will go to the depth and figure this out and transform this. Um, and Scorpios have tenacity. They're the kind of people that when they choose you and you're like compatible to them and great in their life, they're there for you. Like, you know, life or death, ride or die. So don't worry if you have some placements but you don't feel like this applies to you. I'm just saying, like, it might help you to recognize some of these things. But yeah, put a Scorpio in a tight corner. You do not want to do that. Like, the Scorpio will have like a very big reaction, might fight their way out of there, or like wait for the right moment where they feel like they can actually make it out. And yeah, so all of these energies just to help you understand yourself when you're in a tight spot, when you're really being triggered to the bone. A Capricorn has a lot of tenacity. They might need to understand a lot about the situation. They might just feel like you cross their boundaries in the sense of dignity. Like, how would you not like respect me, like respect my space? They might get very critical, as would Virgos. They might use the capacity of the mind to like to sort through what's going on and say, like, I don't agree with this. They might become very, yeah, just using their voice. Um, uh, all of the earth signs of Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus, they might need to like physically move in order to dispel all of this energy. This is for all of the signs actually, but for those earth signs, like, yeah, like, I think because I'm a Capricorn, I tend to want to use the situation to my advantage. Not in a strategic sense, but in a sense that there must be something in this situation that I can learn from and get better at. So Capricorns might be the type to be able to take a lot of pressure, just like Scorpios, and like hold out until they feel like they understand the situation. They might be very dry, like not emotional at all. Not emotional at all. Yeah, a Virgo might more get into the mind and be like, I see this concept and I see this concept and I really want this to work, and I think we need to like calm down and talk about this. And they can get so deep into the details that the other person, if they don't have the same kind of energy or like a Gemini energy, they can get like overwhelmed by the details and the sheer abstraction. The same thing can happen with an Aquarius. Like, they might be so unemotional that a person that's like being in the same situation might feel, how can you be so cold, you know? Both Libra and both Libra and Aquarius might feel like, how do we make this fair? Where the Libra might try to create something beautiful out of that situation. Obviously, if you're super triggered, the Libra might just shut down and be like, oh my God, I can't do anything to make this situation like better for anyone. The Libra will often be thinking about both of the people. It might even be very difficult for them to put themselves first, or to like, for Libra, it might be difficult to access their emotions and to feel actually what's emotionally going on for them, and to even release emotion, because they might have such a big judgment about not wanting to sully the space, not wanting to let their emotions be in the space, because they might feel like it would just tip the balance, and it just wouldn't, they might not see how it could be good sometimes to get out of balance, that might actually spur growth. And they don't like to be direct, just like Cancer and Libra, and sometimes Virgo. But Virgo, if they are able to speak or write, they might be able to be quite precise. But yeah, a lot of it is like omitting, and the Virgo energy might also be like feel somewhat inferior to the other, and want to back down, but more out of a sense of like, it's not right to put my own voice forward. I shouldn't go, I should definitely not go beyond the other. Like, I should definitely not raise my voice louder than the other. They might also be tallying like how the other person's doing. They might have a lot of their energy going on, like checking out what the other person's doing, and forget about themselves. Like, yeah. Now, who have I not talked about? I have, Gemini. Gemini can have like a lot of thoughts about a lot of things. They might be confused about their thoughts. They could be very analytical and understand very quickly what's going on. They might feel like they want to lighten up what's going on. They might not want to get into such a, a very strong or deep trigger. They might just want to like, let's keep it light, It might make them feel fearful to go into depths. They could also be really good at just keeping it very simple and light, and trying to talk about what's happened. They may actually be very socially adept at finding a way together to understand what's happened and out of the situation quickly. They might also just strand like get stranded in talking a lot. They might forget that there's maybe also some emotions, and just talk till the cows come home. I don't have Gemini, so I don't know where it's coming from with me. Yeah. So I'll go through the whole zodiac, and maybe I'll find out who I forgot. Oh, Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius would like to be optimistic about a whole lot of things. They might, by mistake, tell you truths that are not socially acceptable to just say out and just like that. It might be a little bit too much. They might have a lot of opinions about things. Sometimes the Sagittarius energy can have a flair of drama, just like Leo. And Aries, but Aries isn't doing it for the drama. With the Aries and Scorpio energy, it could also like tinge on the sexual, like makeup sex might be a whole thing for them. Yeah, so going through the whole, I was at Sagittarius. Yeah, Sagittarius could be very preachy. It could have a lot of attitude. A Sagittarius might also be in a conflict in one moment, and like in an absurd way. It's not even because they disassociated, but it's almost like they kind of forget about it after that, and then at a random moment it might suddenly flare up again, and they're like, wait. Their emotions might be quite fiery. they might tend to be more on the optimistic side and try to, resolve maybe by jokes, like a Gemini might also do that. Um, Even an Aries or a Scorpio might want to um, offer humor in order to get through, but like, yeah, dark humor being more of the Scorpio one, um, bad humor being maybe more of a Capricorn one. um, um, yeah, even let's a Cancer, Cancerians and Pisces and maybe even Scorpios if they're very good at using their voice, maybe even Aquarius is, they might be able to name what their emotions are and to be very vulnerable, be very good at like telling you what their feelings are. Um, did I say Pisces? Pisces may also be really good at it. So emotional intelligence may come faster to those signs. Yeah, once a Libra learns that it is absolutely necessary to express emotions and to know your emotions, then the Libra energy will also be able to use that kind of to be more open and more willing to for confrontation. Uh, so where have I gotten to? Okay, the great thing about an Aries in conflict is that they might they might need to just bash through the situation. Hopefully, like be clear on what it is that they're bashing through, but definitely they can be the type of energy that is like, I'm not gonna allow something that's bad for me or for others to like fester. So we need to talk about this now, and they might be very like quick to bring up things that aren't working, and also when the energy is finished, they could have just like, yeah, and now the sun's shining again, and move through things very fast. And they might also be very good at just expressing the pure emotions. So you would not have to think like, could there be anything behind this? Is there any manipulation going on? Usually with the Aries energy, it's just like, woof, it's just there. It's just what you see is what you get. And that makes it sometimes, in some aspects, safer for other people. So that's a positive aspect. Yeah, there's no double agenda. On the other hand, they may have a really hard time with being conscious about what's happening, or even holding back, reining it in when the situation isn't actually the right one. But yeah, I think if you have Aries energy, it's good to just know yourself. If you are the kind of person that just, will run through like blast your fire, then find people that are compatible with that and that appreciate that. Like earth signs might be really good at just handling that and being able to contain that kind of energy and just let you run your course, but also be listening to you and allow you to express and not feel like shitty about it. Yeah, that's also always a really good thing, to not have to feel shitty about the way you just are a human. We also choose in which situations we're going to be at our best. Like, for example, if you're a therapist, when you're giving therapy, you're not going to let that kind of energy like run through a situation that might be re-traumatizing for a patient. But when you're in your own setting and with your chosen tribe, like your friends, you would want those people to be compatible to your personality. And you can't, and that's a thing with complex trauma, that we might feel entitled, that someone needs to, like, in the situation, be there for us because we need it. And that might be super real, and we might have missed it from our caretakers or parents when we were growing up, and that it would be very healing for us to receive that kind of support. But we can't force others to give it to us. Like, that is that is a recipe for traumatizing other people. And you don't really heal when you do that. You might make it worse. You might grow new, you know, negative spirals, let's say patterns. Life might get harder. Yeah. I am at Aries. Now I'm going to Taurus. So the wonderful thing about Taurus is that they could be able to just keep things simple, relaxed, feeling safe. They will often opt for those things: simple, relaxed, safe, beautiful. They might have an inclination to to create environments that are peaceful, that are comfortable. So like for people who like really are in need of safety, in need of like their nervous system just calming down, there might be compatibility with a Taurus energy. If you have it yourself, this might be good to tell people, look, this is what I tend to do. And especially like for males, it might be, or I don't know, I guess females as well, but to be able to offer that thing, that energy that you naturally have to another, and that they just appreciate that in their lives, that might add so much like joy to your life of being able to live a simple life, and being able to enjoy the, you know, the fruits of a life, maybe like countryside, or maybe just a simplicity in your job, or being able to relax in the evenings, being able to take your time with things, being very slow and deliberate about things. That might just be your style. And the more that, if that is the case, then the more that you own it, the more everyone will be able to enjoy that about you, enjoy that vibe about you. And yeah, on the other hand, with like fights or something, it like the energy of the Taurus might be able to let this other fiery energy just run its course and not get so attached to it. Yeah. So don't worry if you're not able to do any of these things and still you have that energy, and just, you know, giving some suggestions. And for sure, put it in the comments if you think like, hey, what about this, or I'm struggling with this, and when I have a planet in that sign. So okay, Taurus, then we got Gemini. So yeah, like I said, lightening up, that's Gemini. Also experimenting with new ways to do things. A Gemini, I have never seen this happen, but if I were a Gemini, I would be like curious about how we could play, experiment with conflicts, so that they don't actually, so that they get solved in new and playful ways. Yeah, full stop. Yeah. I think one of the things that I have seen actually is that people with Gemini energy, that when other people or when something else in their charts has the energy of like, you need to be serious, when they can't access their playfulness, and they have to kind of dry out. I usually say dry out because that's a Saturn theme. Saturn is very dry. I'm sorry, this might sound like vague to you, but if you say emotions are like watery, but the lack of emotion is like dry, and like when you say you have to be serious and you have to be responsible and you have to do this and this and this and that, then I would say that's dry. It's like drying it out. It's like it has to be rational, and we're not gonna let the emotional thing at it. So it kind of dries out, and you go, oh, yeah, sometimes it's very hard to feel good about things that are very dry like that. But for some people, it works really well. For Gemini, I have seen that the Gemini energy of playfulness kind of dissipates when it gets too serious, and it might get itself stuck in like needing to be serious. Um, so, how you could remedy that with the Gemini energy is like breathing. It's an air sign. So taking a breath, allowing, maybe I do it with dolphin energy. So dolphins are very playful and like they know humor. So you might be able to like take a like little step back and be like a little bit more agile. Agility is one of the Gemini traits. Be able to see it in a more yeah, less constricted way, like give the situations a little bit of space, give yourself the space to dance around and be flexible and see like, is there something that I'm missing, is there something that I don't see, is there some kind of way that could be new, innovative, that could help this situation. Maybe ask questions. Yeah, but yeah. So there's Gemini, playfulness. Um, yeah, learning a lot about the situation. Okay, I'm gonna move on to after Gemini, we get to Cancer. I have talked a lot about Cancer. The Cancerian energy is very empathic, takes care of others. It just really nourishes the Cancerian energy to feel like other people that they find really important are really close, are like taking care of them, listening to them, giving their feelings and their emotional experience of things some priority. Um, like not too much. Like they they want to really be there for another person, so it, but they also need the other person to be there for them, and they hardly ever will tell a person that. It's like they almost just expect it, and they can get really annoyed when you don't see that. I'm talking about me. um, but they might not even understand that that's what they want, because it can be quite hidden, especially like in our today world. A lot of cultures don't see that as a good thing. But it's a lot of this motherly energy, and so the positive thing about the Cancerian energy is that they will be kind of on the lookout to see like, are you okay? And if you get into a situation like, with a lot of stress and triggers, they as soon as they can go past their own triggers, they might be really, really good at wanting to know what's going on with you, what can I do for you, how can I show up for you, how can I make you feel good, what would really help. They might even be the kind of person that will remember all of the things that you feel good about and don't feel good about. They might even start to figure out like, how can I be there for you and help you, without you, like even before you understand that you need this thing. So they can even be the kind of person that is starting to try to solve your problem before you even understood how you got to the trigger. um, they could be a really good person to talk about, what actually happened in this situation. They might be really able to calm the if there's a lot of energy and fast flowing energy in the conflicts. They might be very good at like slowing it down and coming back to it at a better time, and being very, very like loving and embracing. And it's really good for Cancerians to also do this for themselves, so to nourish themselves. But I mean, it might sound very strange for some people, but that could be very nourishing for a Cancer person, for a person with a lot of Cancerian energy. Like, think about the mother archetype. and how joyful it can be for a mother to give of her heart to her children, to see her children grow. And a person can, whether male or female, can have this kind of energy towards their clan, towards their family, towards their unit. For Cancerians, in case you have this energy but didn't realize this, Cancerians are very conservative in the sense that they like to be there for specific people, the ones that are close, the ones that they feel like are inside of their little tribe. It might be more difficult for them to do that for anyone outside of that tribe. And if you have a lot of Cancer energy and you like say that you love everyone, that could be like super true, but it may help you to understand that your Cancerian energy does need a shield. It's like so much nourishing energy and like deep empathy and feeling and intuitive and understanding, like, you know, ancestors and deep processes. It might like you might want to experiment with your feelings around if it's correct for you to like be loving to everyone. It may be like, no, I am giving this incredible gift of empathy, but I'm giving it in the setting of my work. I'm giving it as being a therapist for my clients because they are paying me. And that way, the well of incredible like lovingness that a Cancerian can give doesn't run dry. And when the Cancerian well runs dry, the way I've experienced it and with some other people, is that you might not understand why you feel bitter, or why you don't feel gratitude for things, or why you feel exhausted, or powerless, because you might have been giving too much. And you might need to learn this emotional musculature and choose, who do I do it for and who do I not. And that might help you a lot with boundaries. Okay, that was Cancer. This is going to be such a long video, oh my gosh. Then there's, after Cancer, we get to Leo. The incredible thing with Leo is that it's very generous. A Leo will often like try, you know, to help you shine. Like once they understand, like, wait, you don't think you're good enough? They might like try to, that that shining light that they feel for themselves, if they feel that for themselves, they might try to convey that to you, like you should be, you know, feeling incredible about yourself. They might be able to lift you up. I know my ex-partner, he was always rallying for me, and even in ways that I thought that I didn't, that really kind of was too much. But yeah, he was always like my biggest cheerleader, you know. So Leo might be very good at giving you the feeling that you're really good enough and that there's nothing that should not be okay about you. Yeah, this positivity. There could be also other things they could, yeah, but just, it's kind of almost like they're the example. And when they cherish themselves, whatever they cherish about themselves, they will want you to also cherish that about yourself. And it might be hard for them to even understand like why you don't cherish that about yourself. So they're very good for just shedding some light on what they think is positive about you, and helping you feel better, elevate your spirits. There must be some other things, like they might be a very good example of how they treat themselves. Like you might be able to see from a Leo, like this is an example of what it is to be royal. With Sagittarius, I have seen it happen as well, a little bit differently. I think Sagittarius has a lot more like dynamic energy, where a Leo can have like a very solid kind of star-like or bright presence that's very solid. Yeah. Now, I'm getting to the next one is the Virgo. I might not have said a lot about Virgo. Virgo can be quite soft, can be introverted. They might not get into conflict much, but if they have like the opportunity to feel very safe and that the environment is a little bit controlled so that they can actually speak the softer voices that are going on with them, like the contemplations they might be having, the things that they're seeing, the things that they want to improve, the thing. I mean, a Virgo can be very picky and nitpicky, and they might feel like everything needs to improve all the time. I have very strong Virgo in me. I have a 6th house stellium, which is the house of Virgo. I have 4 planets there, and it's my main thing. So I have a lot of Virgo energy, and I tend to come at things like, okay, these are all the different ways in which we can improve this, and let's talk about it. So a Virgo can be proactive. It might be helpful for them to feel very safe because they are, the energy of Virgo can be quite service oriented, and so the other needs to be open for that. Might maybe even need to ask them for their insights. Yeah, it's also an earth sign, so it can be very practical and like, yeah, let's solve this like this. Okay, I'm understanding of what you're saying, and let's. Do you think this could work? So they're very like, let's make this work. Let's see how this can work. They can be very open like that, where some of the other signs might be like, shut this down right now, and this is not going anywhere, and I don't want to continue. Yeah. But yeah, it could be also with the Virgo to a flaw. Same with Libra, like trying to make things work when maybe it's difficult to see the reality that actually it's better to abandon the ship or burn the bridges, or there are situations where you need to do that, or where you see it's not respectful for your energy. Okay. Speaking of respectful for the energy, I'm just gonna try and finish this. Oh my gosh, if you're still hanging out here, it's amazing. Okay, then from Virgo, we're going to Libra. Libra is so fair, like to a flaw. Libra wants both parties or all parties that are in the situation to come to something that feels good for all of them. Good enough, Yeah. Yeah, that's a Libra. And it can be very annoying for people with a lot of Libra when people take that for granted, and if they get like insults thrown at their heads or being treated in disrespectful ways, it can really get to this like, excuse me, I am trying to make this work for all of us, and they might have abandoned themselves or their own unique feelings in the process. So yeah, a Libra is pretty much always like trying to make everything happen for everyone. So they're very good as mediators, but when they are themselves in the conflict, yeah, it's maybe also good to acknowledge the Libra and what they're trying to make happen. Right. Libra can also be very thoughtful. Yeah, they can really try to see all sides of the situation. They can have really good ideas. They can also be very observant and not get stuck in all of the emotions. Those are some of the great attributes of Libra. Now, then I'm coming to Scorpio. I've talked a lot about Scorpio, so yeah. I'm gonna leave it at that. And then after Scorpio is Sagittarius. And Sagittarius loves a soapbox, like the kind of podium to stand on and tell you their ideas. It might not even be relevant to the situation. Gemini can do that as well. They're just like off on a tangent of their own. But then, yeah, the flavor of the Sagittarius can be a little bit preachy or teachy. They love to bring across their knowledge when they see like a higher truth or something. Sagittarius is always seeking higher truths to understand things, even more than having a practical solution. So they could be in a situation good at keeping an open mind, being optimistic. They might not be the greatest at shutting up and just listening to the other person. Which Scorpios and Libras, for example, would be really good at, and Virgos as well. But with all of those three signs that I just mentioned, you might not notice what's going on in their minds. You might not know what they're thinking about really. Whereas with the other ones, if you are observant, you would probably see, like with Leo, Cancer, Gemini, and yeah, all of the others that I have talked about for like from Aries onwards, they are more like personal. It's like more, their energy is more something that you can see. It's like more in their personality. And from Virgo onwards, like Virgo and Libra and Scorpio, they are very much more looking to the other, looking at the other side of things. They might not have like visible cues about what they feel for themselves. I mean, it could, but just as a general energy thing. So when you get to Sagittarius, Sagittarius can be more self-motivated. I mean, like, well, and their emotions, I have observed with Sagittarius is once they get good at just letting their emotions be and then flow away, those emotions can pass really fast. And it might be difficult for a different person to like think that can really happen. Like an emotion can move through this person so fast. Yeah, and they might be the kind of person that doesn't hold back also. Sagittarius can be very fiery, and just when they decide something's right for them, they don't have to wait for logic. A lot of the time they might be very good at just following some kind of spark in them and just go for it. But yeah, they might not be the most consistent, and they might not be the kind of person that sticks to that same thing or comes back to it in a very consistent way. They might not be the most stable. They might just go jump for joy, jump for joy. They might be more of the kind of, like if you have a speedboat, like they might be like coasting, like keeping the speed up so that they can keep like at the perfect way of like skimming the surface, and having that they really love the energy of experience and movement and going places and seeing new things. So they might not like conflicts because it might like weigh them down and like force them to look at things over and over and over. And yeah, it might be more difficult for a Sagittarius. But then other aspects might be helping a specific Sagittarius energy to actually do show up, and use the optimism and the great vibes and humor that Sagittarius can bring. And it won't be super light. They'll be like very engaged when they're humorous. Yeah, they like to have fun in life. All right, then we're getting to Capricorn. A Capricorn can give a lot of rationality, can be very conserving of their energies, and if something really needs to be solved, they might be really good at just finding solutions, or being very tenacious about solving this problem, if they feel it's important. If they don't feel it's important, they might just cold shoulder you. Yeah, I, as a Capricorn, have not access to that at all times. Like yeah. So that can happen. But yeah, a Capricorn can maybe be very like the kind of person that will persevere and move through a conflict and learn from it and be like, so this is reality. Okay. Yeah, they might really take it to heart. It might even be hard to change a Capricorn's mind once they've taken something to heart. It's like, well, prove it to me. Prove to me I'm wrong. Yeah, their humor can be very dark, can be very stark. Yeah. I think of, like, in Game of Thrones, the Starks were all Capricorns. I was like, no bullshit. Yeah, winter's coming. Yeah. Yeah, and they will survive the winter. That's another thing. Like, a Capricorn will survive most, if not all, hard, difficult situations, relationally. It might be difficult. They might not like it, but they're very good at surviving things. Yeah. So, yeah, emotional presence with Capricorn isn't necessarily one of the good things, and yeah, it might be for a Capricorn something that they work at. Build it. But once you tell a Capricorn, like, that you can actually build emotional muscle, they'll be like, I can learn that and I can grow it, and they'll get really good at, like, pumping it. Yeah, you know, they'll grow balls in whatever area of life that they can, that they think is, that they deem important. So, and then if it's in a relationship, if you're like the person that they're like being in a relationship with, and they have, like, a Capricorn can be very, can have this caretaking as well, but more in a masculine sense, more like, okay, I'm building a whole business so that it can help our relationship, you know, is so that we can be financially free. Or I know it's not happened a lot in my life, and there's a lot of Capricorns that don't see this happen in their lives, but they will often be only choosing things that they can actually build. They like to build. So compatibility is really good there for a Capricorn person, getting into arguments that prove to them that this person doesn't actually want to build something with them. And, you know, that could be very difficult for them. So in the compatibility, like, people who know that they need safety and need to be with someone that will always be trying to, you know, initiate the next step and the next step and build a very solid foundation, then the Capricorn energy is like, yeah, that might work super, super well. But with a Capricorn, you have to be very honest. You have to, you know, they have to feel like they can trust you, because they're going in for the long term. So for Capricorn, it can often be like, they might often, like, delude themselves in being with someone that feels good in the moment, but they don't actually realize that this person's not going to stay the, you know, I don't know, what do you call that? Stay the game? Do the whole story. So Capricorns are often looking to build and to create legacy. That might be a word for a Capricorn or not, but they do try to build that. And so once a Capricorn learns that conflicts are actually ways in which we can get to know each other much better, and seeing how someone deals with conflict, that might actually be the thing that proves to them, I can trust you, because whenever we have a conflict, you come back to me to figure out how we can make this better, how we can grow, what we're to become more clear on what we're growing towards. So I know I'm talking about a lot of things that are very general, but I think for people with complex PTSD, you might be just lost in the whole, like, this is my life has been like just lost in the big ocean of so many things, and like whenever I shift and transform, I have to change so many things that it's like, where do I even start and what's going on? And that's why I'm telling you about this trigger moment, that you might be one of these, you might be using one of these energies, and these are the ways in which you can transform that, and also to give you that opportunity of how you can be compatible with someone else and help them through that situation. Because usually you attract people who, when you get to that trigger moment, it will show up their triggers as well. That's how you both spiral downwards. And if you know these things, it gives you more of an opportunity to be very conscious about what's going on, and to choose with more, in a more informed way, how you will act, and why it's happening like that, and to know that the other person is also a lot of the time just doing their best, or they might not have the emotional bandwidth yet, and that gives you, you know, reality check. Is this the right person for me? Not because they're not doing their best or they don't want to show up for me, but do you see that they will grow with you and that you will grow in the right direction, you know? Or are you deluding yourself that some feel-good moments are what you're actually needing, when with complex trauma, what you want to, how you want to set yourself up is being able to navigate those hardest moments, and for those moments to get solved, and for you to remain with like so much compassion and life quality, that you know that you have moved through those incredible hard situations, the shadow, the valley of the shadow of death, the valley of hardships, you know, that you have come through, and been able to connect to other people, and gained the kind of riches that we all want, and that it's actually come from these painful things, that we've been able to, yeah, to create something beautiful out of that. So continuing on, and this is just a little, I have a lot of the energies, like when I look at the elements that are represented in my astrological chart, I do have it almost evenly, all of the elements, so earth, water, fire, and air. But when you take the fifth element of ether, that is what is represented most in who I am. And the ether element is seeing through the whole system. That's something that Capricorn also does, is seeing the whole system. Virgo, Capricorn, they're able to see the logic of how something's built up and how you can actually use the different energies. Use is a Capricorn word. How can I use this in a way that will benefit everyone, that will benefit the collective, that will benefit my financial gain, my status? I want to show up and for people to recognize me in this. That's the Capricorn energy talking. So that's why I'm explaining all of this, because I know that it helps me, and that it will help other people. So I was talking about Capricorn. A Capricorn, by the way, will also be the one, if they can go into the depth and understand personalities, really understand the multifaceted world, an ecosystem in which specific personalities really thrive, then they can be very good managers, whether it's of their family or business or, you know, social environment. They are really good at seeing who fits what position and who needs to be involved in order to make something work, in order to build a really good foundation. So seeing the differences between people can be something that Capricorns are really good at, and thinking in that logical way. Also can be a bit detached from the emotional weight of things and be able to keep a cool head when going into conflicts. So really good for conflicts to have a lot of Capricorn energy. Depending on if you need the emotions to actually be seen, then you wouldn't want to use a Capricorn energy unless that Capricorn energy is supporting someone that is making sure that the emotions can come up. So a Capricorn person supporting a Cancerian, where the Cancerian is like giving empathy to someone, then it's really strong. Then the Capricorn has got the back of the Cancer, and the Cancer is able to give fully, and the Capricorn is keeping an eye on on the Cancerian and seeing like, all right, do I need to pull you back now because you've given enough energy to the whole situation? It's enough. And they can actually protect this situation. So that is also one way in which you can look at the different aspects in your personality, in your astrological chart. And should be like this, it's a pie with 12 pieces, like a pizza with 12 slices, which is all the zodiac signs. So then, that's really great about a Capricorn. Once they choose, they can be such an empire builder, a builder of energies, of, understanding very many things and seeing the whole picture, and making it work. Yeah, applied knowledge is definitely Capricornian. Okay, then coming to Aquarius. So the Aquarius energy can be very good for mediating, can be good at not getting too involved in all of the emotions and seeing things from an abstract way. They can be very good at seeing like how, like if they had to decide how to extrapolate like something that's happened in one situation and see how it might help everyone, then they would like naturally do that. They would naturally extract ideas of natural law about how things work, and they would try to be very fair. They might not like people. This is a quote. Aquarians love humanity, but they don't necessarily love people. Yeah, so they can be very fair, but can also forget like how individual situations might be specific. And they might come at a situation with like, well, in general, this is how things should work, and they might have a difficulty with seeing that every situation is different and you need to be emotionally present in order for the other person to even feel heard. That's a lot of the times with triggers, right? And I don't know, an Aquarian would be again a good mediator, but they have to get involved. The other person might need to feel like this person is involved. I'm not sure if I'm the right person to say like in what situations would an Aquarian be a good energy, because I'm like the opposite. I suppose if it was like a group of people all having the same problems, then an Aquarian would very easily be able to distinguish like what are the overarching problems that everyone has, and like how can we solve it in one go, like systemically. Um, but it would be more hard for them to accept that every situation has its nuances and needs to be yeah, approached in a unique way. um, they would be like, if you had a fight with an Aquarian, like a conflict, and then it was solved, like it would be solved, you know? They're like, they've moved on, bye. And that's really nice to think about the Aquarian energy. Like once they have, like once it's dropped into their mind that it is a certain way and it's done, then they are done. And they're not really looking back. They're not like having an emotional attachment. In fact, detachment is an Aquarian quality. They might be very innovative. They might find ways, like they might check a chatbot or chat GPT, or they might find some kind of technology to help. Yeah, they can be very new humans. They might have very progressive ideas about how to solve conflicts. They can be the one that that moves the whole thing forward, because they might have been gathering a whole lot of information about innovation. Yeah. Um, Now, what's next? Ah, last but not least, Pisces. Um, Pisces might be able to really flow very well with a situation. They might be very good at opening up about their emotions. They may need for other people in the situation to show up for them and really hold the space, like make boundaries around the situation, create some grounding for the situation. But then like they can have, like Pisces can have the energy of being super loving, but also without boundaries. So it's like love for everything and everyone, and there's no distinction about what actually needs to happen. But at the same time, the energy of Pisces might be like they can see the bigger vision, they can see the bigger dream, they can see where they want to move to, you know, in a conflict, and seeing, they might even feel very hurt that a conflict took place in the first place. Yeah, they might be just really wanting peace and flow and happiness for everyone. They might be very lyrical, they might be emotional to a flaw. They, you know, they might be the kind of person that wants to hug everyone, or to hug after, you know, after a fight, to make sure everything's okay. Yeah, I mean, this is very stereotypical Pisces. So, I mean, they're the kind of person that don't want there to be any conflict. Because that's like the opposite of the Pisces energy. So at this point, I want to say once again that if I hadn't said it clearly, that conflict is there in order for us to find resolutions and to improve our lives. If you find that a conflict will actually does not have the opportunity for that, and does not give you any, like, if you can't get anything out of it that's worth your while, maybe you just need to remove yourself from that conflict. If you can, like, if you're not being held responsible for things, you know what I mean. So that's one of the things with conflicts. We might not realize that that what we're doing is adding fuel to the fire. I did Vipassana meditation, and there was one of the things that the guru was talking about, that when people get angry, they have the tendency, like if the anger is a fire, and like they have this tendency, like they see a fire and they're like, what, a fire? Oh, watch me go. And they just start throwing gasoline on the fire and like, burn, baby, burn. And you can see this, like, it's kind of like people, it's for a lot of people, it's easy to slip into anger because it feels kind of good, but it's like, it's slippery. And it's getting to like your reptile brain, and you don't realize that you're actually burning down more um, than is healthy. So know that with anger, short of just needing to release the energy so it doesn't fester in you, it is a very powerful energy for you to use for things that need improvement in your life, right? So, and when you get angry, a lot of times it has to do with your boundaries being crossed, and the emotion is different from reality, right? That's the whole thing that I'm talking about. So, but it is important to express, you know, to let the energy flow. But at the other side of it, you do of course want your life to get better and better, so that you're not only exploding this energy and maybe just causing a lot of mess. That's when you're very immature, and you wanna without guilting shaming yourself, without being shit game for yourself, you wanna like learn from whatever energy that you have. Maybe even when you heard about me talking about all of this, maybe there's some energy that you felt like, oh, I wish I had more of that. That would be very helpful for me. Then figure out how you can have that kind of energy, because we all have all of the energies. But yeah, you can put it down in the comments, and if you feel like you want to use that energy, then look at what house, especially the line where the house starts, that's called the cusp. Look at what house is in that zodiac sign, and that will be the area of life. And it's more complicated than that, but that would be an area of life where you could more easily have access to that energy, and to start practicing it, and to start introducing it into your life a little more. For example, I need more Aries energy in order to spontaneously do things, and also to show up with my anger when it's there. And it's right at the top of my chart, in my 10th house, the 10th house cusp, also where my 10th house starts. And so for me, it's very much about how I show up for other in the space, in the social space. So it's not about who I am at home, but it is who I am like online. Like here, I just say things. I don't try to suppress anything, because that's actually an energy that I've been lacking, and I have it in my charts that when I go to the outside world, when I go into public spaces, that I actually have better access to Aries energy when I'm there. I swear more. I'm more spontaneous. Of course, it's a growing road. It's something that I'm learning now. um, is there anything else I should say? My gosh, it's been 2 hours and 2 minutes. Guys, if you watched all of this, congratulations. You have tenacity. And if there's any questions that you have, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments, and I'll try and answer them. And if you want a reading, then we can arrange that, and just, yeah, let me know. So hope you're having a beautiful day. I hope this added to your consciousness around triggers and those really tight situations where those triggers happen. And I'm wishing you so much love. Cherish yourself. You are an amazing, being with everything that you need. And I hope for you that you experience that, because that's where fulfillment is. All right. All my love. Bye. See you next time.